High performance rarely starts as identity. It begins as effort, as improvement, as discipline. At first you perform to grow, then you perform to prove, and eventually you perform to exist. The shift is subtle. You are no longer someone who achieves. You become someone who must achieve, because results start to define safety. They regulate how you feel about yourself. They determine whether the day was acceptable or not. There is no neutral state anymore, only progression or regression. Discipline stops being a tool. It becomes a moral standard. You are not trying your best. You are either aligned or failing. And so the margin for error narrows, not externally, but internally. Rest feels suspicious. Slowing down feels like losing ground. And stopping feels like disappearing. Because without performance, who are you left being? In high performance, the body changes role. It is no longer a place you live in. It becomes something you use. Signals are still there, but they are reorganized. Pain is filtered. Fatigue is interpreted. Discomfort is negotiated. Not ignored, but deprioritized. You don't ask, "How do I feel?" You ask, "Can I continue?" The body adapts to that question. It learns to respond later, to complain less, to obey faster. Breathing becomes controlled. Movement becomes efficient. Energy becomes calculated. Sensation fades into the background. Precision takes the front. And slowly, the body stops being experienced. It becomes managed. High performers do not feel less. They feel differently. Emotions are not denied. They are reorganized. Doubt is postponed. Fear is contained. Fatigue is scheduled. Everything has its place, except interruption. Because interruption breaks momentum, and momentum is stability. So vulnerability is not rejected. It is delayed, handled later, somewhere else, at a better time. But that time rarely comes, because the system works. It produces results. It creates control. It builds identity. Until one day, what was postponed starts demanding attention, and the cost becomes visible. The problem is not ambition. Ambition builds. It structures. It drives. The problem is dependency. When performance becomes your only source of stability, everything outside of it becomes unpredictable, and unpredictability feels unsafe. Slowing down is no longer rest. It becomes a threat. Stopping is not recovery. It feels like loss. Because if performance defines you, what happens when it pauses? There is a moment, quiet, often invisible, where the system stops protecting you, where effort no longer regulates, where control no longer soothes. And that moment is not failure. It is information. Recovery is not quitting. It is not weakness. It is not regression. It is something far more difficult. Allowing the body to exist without needing to justify itself.